Well, good morning, everyone, and my name is Meg. I'm a career consultant with Flinders Careers and Employability, and welcome to Top Career Tips for the second or middle years of the nursing degree. So this session is being recorded, and just do note you can use the chat box for any questions you have throughout the session. If you're in the Horizon Award, you receive 1.5 Horizon points for the attendance at this workshop, with points usually allocated within 2 weeks. Firstly, Careers and Employability Service acknowledges the Australian Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first inhabitants of the nation and traditional custodians of the land where we live, learn and work. We're delivering this session today from the lands of the Kaurna people, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. In this session today, we're going to be talking a little bit about reviewing your story. So, of course, here we're talking about the middle years of the nursing degree. We're going to take you through a lot of career development ideas and strategies for this pivotal stage of your nursing degree. We're going to have a big focus on getting ready for 2022 and making various applications and decisions on pathways. We're going to take you also through the resources you're going to want to access, and this is a great opportunity for question and answer throughout the session. So, starting early and some of the advantages of that. So this is a quote from UPaged. So that's a nursing agency, and they've got a really comprehensive article there on strategies for finding graduate work as a nurse. But they're indicating savvy nursing students will plan for their, I think that's professional practice transition or something similar, from the start of their second year. So this is really talking about planning to apply for TPPs, transition to professional practice programs, sometimes they're called graduate nurse programs. So you start to plan well in advance for when these programs become available. So planning what's next, exploring opportunities through this second year, middle years, because it's only often 12 months later that these applications open for the year that will follow the completion of your degree. So if you're in the middle stages and you're finishing at the end of 2022, it's probably from around May of 2022 that interstate programs start to open. Okay, so you just need to be aware of those timeframes that, you know, if you are looking interstate, you need to start making decisions about where you're looking when those programs will open. But we've got all of that information for you, so we're going to take you through those major links. Hopefully you're all familiar with the resources and links for nursing careers page. Okay, so you can go onto that page. There's links to guide you through where you can look for work, organisations of interest, LinkedIn groups, professional associations, following sector news. And we've also got a section where you can go through, there's tailored resources for your first year, middle years and final year. So really important to know what you're looking for there. We're going to go into a component now where we're going to be doing some reflection. You can have a look at your career story. So as I take you through this section, you might even want to make some notes about each section of your life story. Having a really good understanding of your career story, it's in effect doing a bit of an audit of where you're at right now, thinking about where you're headed, and that can also guide some of your career development strategies. So we're going to look at your life across 4 major areas: the learning side of your life, your studies, we're going to look at your sector related experience, we're going to look at what you might bring from employment, And by sector experience, I'm highlighting here that we're talking about placements, we're talking about volunteering that relates to your study pathway, employment that relates to your study pathway. And then you can bring valuable skills. Maybe you're changing careers, starting careers, maybe you're working in casual jobs. That's valued, and there's amazing skills. So it's being able to identify those. Looking at who you are in terms of your extracurricular activities, what that says about you, again, highlighting areas you might want to develop. Because the key thing here is, if we look at that quote, to stand out, graduates need to link achievement not just from your course, but from other aspects of your life, and understand how does that relate to the workforce and your career. Because sometimes it's through looking at everything you've done in each section of this circle, you really start to understand your unique points of difference. So questions to ask yourself, reflect on. Why did you choose nursing? What led you to choose this course of study? What have you enjoyed about this course of study? What areas would you like to develop from here? What are all of the background knowledge, skills and experiences you brought to your nursing studies? Sometimes we've had people who previously qualified internationally as a nurse and they're doing some nursing studies. Some people might have worked extensively in hospitality and bring an amazing skill set from that background to the nursing career. So it's really trying to understand all of those unique things that make you the nursing student that you are today. And how do you then communicate that? Through your LinkedIn profile, your resume, through how you just project yourself and your professionalism when you're on placement. Okay, let's start here. Maybe make some notes as we go along. And do remember, ask questions anytime in the chat box. So, your learning sphere. Is this the first degree that you've done, or are you doing graduate entry nursing? Are you doing the Horizon Award? Do you have any other certificates like a Cert 3? Have you attended any workshops or conferences or had any in-service learning opportunities when you were on placement? So think about all of the different learning experiences you've had, the knowledge that you have gained, the strengths that you have shown, subjects you might have done particularly well in, things that you've achieved. And what do you look forward to? Look at your degree related experiences. So let's go across. Oh, I'll just also highlight here actually, if you're looking to sort of add some extra training, sometimes, you know, you have opportunities to do courses and training and professional development through employment, for example, as a carer or in other roles. But there's also some free courses around aimed for healthcare workers. So, for example, Dementia Training Australia have some free online courses. There are a few other ones here for COVID, advanced care planning. So we'll send you the PowerPoint, of course. End of Life Essentials, Australian Institute of Social Relations. So if you've got an interest around those different areas, you might choose to undertake some additional training, add that onto your resume. And there's also, of course, the Horizon Professional Development Award. Can I just pause and ask if anyone here is doing the Horizon Award? Just let me know through the chat box, yes or no. So it's a professional development award open to all Flinders students, self-paced, offers a whole range of different workplace skills, training, development, recognition employability skills you may be developing through volunteering and extracurricular activities. So really just reviewing that whole learning domain of your life and what goals you might have from here. Then, if we start to look at your sector related experiences, so how have you applied your knowledge? So obviously you are all nursing students and you are all having placements, which is fantastic, but everyone's going to have the same opportunities to have that learning and development through the placements. But think about what strengths you might have shown on placement. What formal feedback have you received in your placement reports? What informal feedback do you tend to receive on the job, as it were, with your supervisors, with your colleagues, with your patients? So really explore and understand that applied learning world. Where have your placements been? What sort of complexities have you encountered? Think about some of the instances that really stand out to you as strong learning experiences. Now, you might also have some employment that is related to nursing. So, again, I'd ask, is anyone working as a carer, medical assistant, patient services assistant, anything of that kind? So do let me know via the chat box if you're currently in any of those carer roles. Of course, a big focus around the middle years might be to apply for some of the assistant in nursing opportunities that become available with some of the major hospitals, both public and private. So I'd also ask, is anyone interested in finding out about the AIN work? And as well as all of those opportunities, so your placements, assistant in nursing and other health-related employment opportunities, you might also be interested in volunteering to sort of further build your nursing sector experience, your nursing and healthcare experience, and also just further develop certain skills, highlight certain areas of interest. So again, I just encourage you to utilise the chat box to just let me know sort of where you're at, what your interests are. Yep, so really interesting comment there about wanting to find out about assistant in nursing work. Thank you very much for that. And noting that currently some of the ones you're seeing are far up north and south. Yeah, when you do look on the SA Health jobs page, you'll see a lot of the country hospitals have assistant in nursing opportunities. There is a pool listed, I think, for Mount Barker, but there are usually very defined campaigns that happen for, the central, northern, and different metropolitan health networks, and that can come up around August and September. So we'll certainly talk through some strategies for that. Calvary have often offered assistant in nursing opportunities in the last quarter of the year. So another really good thing to do is to go on to your second year page for nursing, and on that page we've just sort of recorded some of the programs that have arisen for assistant in nursing opportunities, and so that gives you a little bit of a idea, so you can start to scroll through that page and explore some of the openings that have arisen. Okay, so that's covering some of the world of opportunity there. Volunteering, some of the volunteering things people might do could be first aid volunteering with St John's, it could be aged care, volunteering, social companionship. Sometimes opportunities arise with organisations like Canteen, Camp Quality, Women's and Children's Hospital have play therapy volunteering programs. Some hospitals, of course, also have their volunteering opportunities. So on the nursing page, we do have some links for health-related volunteering. Captain Starlight's another one. So, if that's something that's of interest to you, you can explore some of those opportunities via Career Hub. Okay, so we've worked through half the circle. So again, some key questions for you as you reflect on all of these experiences. So again, what we're doing here, we're doing like a stock take, getting you to think about all of the different things you've done in all of these different areas of life, understanding there are always points of connection and transferable skills, but doing that reflection so you can start to harness that into your ongoing sense of your evolving professional identity as a nurse. So what have you found rewarding? What have been key learning experiences? Really honing in on what strengths and skills you have been commended for. You can refer to this in cover letters. You're sort of describing who you are and what you have to offer. Fabulous evidence to say, I've been consistently commended for my X, Y, and Z skills. Also, really importantly, to start making sure you have tracked your clinical facilitators and the people who could be referees for you actually in the host organisation. So have you got this pool of referees? Here's some tips from St Andrew's Hospital. So spoke to their nursing graduate program coordinators, and some of the comments they had were to study hard, try to get to a credit average if you can, most particularly on placements, seek those learning opportunities, be proactive so that the reports will show you're keen to learn and to be involved. Initiative is essential in nursing. So really being on the front foot to seek out opportunities. You know, do your careful reflection through your placements. What were your feelings, beliefs, and responses around the various experiences you've encountered? How have these enhanced your practice so that you can offer even higher level of service to benefit your patients? Hone those communication skills, whether it's in person, written, electronic. So just a few key tips from a private hospital there for you. This was some tips from graduates. Keep track of the names and contact details of your facilitators, of the people who might be a referee for you. Keep those placement journals as a reflective guide. So again, think about those key learning experiences. What skill sets have you demonstrated? What are your goals? Remember, you're on show, on placement. You're there to learn, but also showcase your professionalism, to be a great team player, show initiative. So a few tips there. So always have in mind who you might ask to be your referees. You need to have their permission to include them on your resume. Sometimes you'll have very clear instructions as to whom can be a referee. This will be particularly important for TPPP or graduate nurse applications, but something to think about if you're applying for the assistant in nursing jobs. So check their contact details, make sure they'll be available to be a referee for you during the recruitment window. Okay, so just a few comments there on your referees. So again, just that recap there, when it comes to employment and nursing health aged care experiences, there's a range of things that you can do. So some students will be working as a personal care worker, sometimes home support, sometimes it's agency work where they could be working across hospitals and aged care and home-based settings. We see advertisements come up for medical assistant medical centres. So if you've got an interest in general practice nursing, that could be a fabulous pathway. Of course, the assistant in nursing opportunities that we'll talk a bit more about, aged care work, disability support work, hospitals have patient services assistant roles, food services assistant roles. So there's a variety of pathways into the healthcare sector that you might either be currently pursuing or thinking about applying for. So a little bit on the assistant in nursing AIN opportunities. We've got that page for you where you can have a look at past campaigns and opportunities. Again, the some like the Central and Northern and Southern can come up particularly in that last quarter of the year. The timing can vary a little bit, but one of the things you can do is go onto the SA Health page, set yourself up with some job alerts so that you get emailed when jobs come up that match what you're looking for, and even sometimes just a regular weekly check on the organisations that interest you. So if you're interested in Burnside Hospital or ACHA or Calvary, it might just be that you just schedule a half an hour a week where you just do a monitoring of opportunities, or see again, of course, if you can sign up for those job alerts. So there's just a couple of strategies there to keep in mind. Yep, so we've got a really good question there. How flexible are these roles for students at uni who want to ensure that you're striving to get the best results you possibly can? These are opportunities that are usually very directly aimed at current nursing students. So they're quite well aware of the schedules that you are juggling. So, you know, they are constructed with that in mind. So see that under the selection criteria, it'll be specifically talking about you're an undergraduate nursing student at a particular level for that eligibility. So they're wanting to recruit nursing students, and it should be with pretty clear understanding in mind of your particular timetable. Okay, and that will also actually gives rise to an interesting broader question, is developing your understanding about what different employers are looking for and how your different experiences are going to be rated. Okay, so different employers look for different things. So it's just certainly something to keep in mind. So these sorts of opportunities can hone and further your nursing skills within the scope of practice of the assistant in nursing role, as can the carer work within the scope of practice there, or medication credentialed carer roles within that scope of practice. All of that, of course, can feed through into your performance on placement. So it's worth understanding, am I aiming for an SA Health role where they're going to rate my, you know, placement reports, they're going to rate my referee reports, they're going to look at my grades? Am I aiming for, you know, the private hospitals where they can be looking at different criteria? So even taking your assessment of your future pathways to that next level, just to ensure your strategies are aligned to achieve those goals. So you can see here, this is an example of assistant in nursing and midwifery. This is with Carlin and Narlin, and the criteria were you had to be, for second year, you must have completed first year, or to be an AIN in your third year, you must have successfully completed the first and second year of those nursing studies. So you'll notice that there's a job pack that you can refer to and should have a really good look through. SA Health will always have very good guidelines through their frequently asked questions. So make sure you've read all of that documentation. Then you can speak or send an email through if there's anything that you need clarified for your circumstances. So make sure you check out the links on the resources and links for nursing careers page. We've got lots and lots of links to employers and organisations in your sector, and agencies as well. Plus, if you're interested in volunteering, you'll see that we've got links for hospital and related volunteering as well. Again, just keeping in mind what your goals are, what your commitments are, the career development you wish to pursue over the next 12 months. You know, here we are, it's the 5th of July, and currently, you know, July is a very peak time for SA graduate applications, interstate, as I said, from late May. Some of them will go into August in terms of their timeframes. So, you know, you've got about a year to think about your career development and the profile of knowledge, skills and experiences that you wish to have that will define you as a nurse. And there's, you know, just a quote from a graduate who made the comment, volunteering, you know, was showing your commitment, desire to learn from others, putting in the hours for self-improvement, learning additional skills. So it really just depends. Everyone's going to have a different story in terms of their pattern of sector-based experiences, prior career experiences, other employment experiences. So you've just got to have a look at what's the mix that I'm offering. What are my strengths? What are my unique points of difference? You know, what exactly am I aiming for? Start to get some ideas around that. It's going to save you so much time next year in 2022. So that brings us to a discussion around the casual career employment. There is no just or only about this employment. Yes, it's great if you've got some of that health-related employment. Sometimes people work in other contexts like Baker's Delight or hospitality roles, or as a cleaner or construction labourer, or agricultural harvester, nursing students in office administration. Nursing students bring all sorts of different patterns and profiles. There's always valuable transferable skills. If you have a look at the Nursing Careers Week 2021, you'll hear some of the private hospitals talk about, you know, they really value if you've worked in some of those roles, they know you can do a shift, they know you can work in a team, they know you know how workplaces operate. So there's always transferable skills from all of the different activities that you do. No just or only, they have a place on your resume too. So really understanding the value of those experiences and recognising their part in your story. And we'll have a look at some examples of that. So, you know, again, you've just got to decide if there are opportunities that you might wish to pursue, some of that sector-based employment, if you're not currently working as a carer. You know, there's a lot of opportunities that regularly come up. We post some on Career Hub, get some promoted through your academic staff, but you need to be taking charge of the job search, and we're going to talk through some job search strategies for you as well. And then there's the extracurricular side of your life. So again, Flinders students do all sorts of things. Some might be parenting, some might be, you know, playing sport. Other people might have community, cultural, all kinds of different experiences. So we've had students do country fire service, we've had students do state emergency services, surf life saving, right through to, again, that voluntary sports coaching and other community roles. So whatever it is, it can say things about your values. Some students will look at the extracurricular side of their life to show their alignment with the values of an organisation, you know, when they're making job applications. The point is, every part of your story, your journey, can have relevance to the target role. You will need to make the links from those experiences for the employer so that that is clear. It might be on-campus involvements, membership of clubs and societies, membership of professional associations, being a mentor, being a student ambassador. There's all sorts of things that you might do. So look at that side of your life as well. Professional associations. So that's also, you know, a really interesting thing. I'm just asking here, is anyone a member currently of a professional association? So two of the major ones, of course, are the Australian College of Nursing and the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation. So is anyone here a member of those organisations? So I see we've got someone who's a member of Golden Key, so that's certainly something you could include in the professional membership section. We've got someone who's a member of ANMF, fantastic. So, usually for these major organisations, student membership is quite discounted. I think it comes up at about $5 a month. So you can explore the benefits of joining those associations. I certainly know this year it was very interesting to see Australian College of Nursing was offering some sponsorships and a particular education program for people who had not secured a TPPP. So it was offering a sort of a similar sort of education experience. And I think there were some free sponsorships if you were a member. There was another rate if you'd been a member for 3 months, and it went from there. So definitely explore the benefits of membership of those associations. You might choose to follow their news. So often there's free news you can sign up to. There are some that are more specialised. So if you're interested in rural health, there's definitely some free organisations and free news that you can sign up to. So make sure you're aware of these organisations, who they are, what they offer. Check out the news because they're advocating for your profession all the time. Okay. So here's again just some of the examples of benefits of joining professional associations. So Australian College of Nursing members, so there were free online courses that you could do. Australian Nursing Midwifery Federation, again there was some online learning and other benefits that they were offering. So all you need to do is to go onto those websites and check out what might interest you. We've got a collection of those links for you on the resources and links for Nursing Careers page. There's some examples of the rural ones. So if you were thinking of focusing and starting your career in rural, remote, regional settings, there's Flinders University Rural Health Society, Services for Australian Rural and Remote Health, Indigenous Allied Health Australia, newsletters you can sign up to. So again, you can really start to inform yourself. So we've got that page for you on Career Hub. We've set up a link to take you through to some of those, as well as some of the main professional associations. So this is the link here for the rural health organisations. Okay, that's just an example of some of the organisations on campus, of course. Flinders University Nursing Midwifery Students Association, Rural Health Society. They're just a few examples. So some local groups that you can join, maybe take an active role. You know, can you be a student representative? Get on a university committee. These are all opportunities on campus. Now, you know, you can also start positioning yourself, start raising your sector awareness right now with a view to opportunities that will open this time, if not earlier, of course, next year. So you might have an interest in aged care. So you can start to sign up to aged care news. Look at the major organisations. So Resthaven, for example, have a general newsletter. So you can start to go, right, what's this organisation doing? What are new programs, services, equipment, opportunities? You can do that for the hospitals, Southern Health News. St Andrews put out regular news. Again, you can start to look at the private hospitals if that's sort of an area of interest for you. So all of these potential organisations you might work for, you can start following them now. And remember, just whilst we're on that slide, often as part of your application, these organisations are going to ask you, why do you want to work for us? What do you know about us? Why are you interested in us? So can you comment on their mission, their values, their services, their latest news? So you can start informing yourself now. The broad picture, what's happening in your sector. Certainly when we look at the last 12 to 18 months, nursing, healthcare, aged care have been huge in terms of media coverage. So there's plenty of places you can sign up to get some of that news. Follow the sector, Health Times, Aged Care Insight, The Conversation, plenty of ways for free that you can actually be following your sector. What are they talking about? What are the big questions? What are the big issues? What's happening in terms of sector reform? And your own interest too can form part of that whole extracurricular picture. Are you able to balance work, life, study through those personal interests? Some interests might be more active and formalised than others, but it's all part of that story that makes you you. Everything can stand for something, but you'll need to make the links. And again, take you through how to do that in this session today. So thinking about what are your goals right now? Are you focusing on pursuing the assistant in nursing work or gaining sector-related work in 2021? Of course, the AIN opportunities flow through into 2022. Are you getting ready to apply for the transition to professional practice programs in 2022? So what are the things you're going to need to do to get positioned and to get ready for that? Are you open to exploring the myriad of diverse ways you could start your nursing career? Not everyone starts the nursing career in a graduate program. Some people go straight into areas like general practice, into aged care, into other settings. So we've got loads of information on Career Hub about all of those different pathways, which could be your picture 2022, 2023. So what are your goals? What are your objectives? What are your contingency plans? And of course, again, it's July 21. You've got a really good amount of time to be planning now towards that potential point of applying for positions for 2023 when that kicks off from May, June next year. So starting to think about what employers am I interested in? When do applications open? When might applications closed? What sort of documentation do I need to organise? What are going to be the key dates for that recruitment process? So, sorry, this is perhaps just a little fine print, but we'll just work our way through it and make sure that you all have copies of the PowerPoint. So let's just focus on looking for AIN or sector work, which can be the immediate objective for nursing students at this particular point in time. So, the value of placements and being there in person, never underestimate that. Of course, there's no guarantees, but if you impress people on placement, at the very least, you've gained valuable referees. If you've developed a really good working relationship with your placement teams and facilitators and supervisors, you might start to ask about, you know, do employment opportunities ever arise? What sort of roles might arise? What might I need to do? Etc., etc. So really establish yourself, build that trust, build the positive impression, and then it might be a good time to have a conversation. You might be interested in registering some of the healthcare agencies. So, you know, like your Healthcare Australia, your nursing agency. So there's a whole range of different agencies where student nurses can gain employment. So that could be, again, for AIN roles, carer roles, home support roles. Monitor Seek and Jobs Indeed and all of those jobs boards, and you'll see lots of opportunities come up fairly regularly. Sometimes people get confused about when can I apply. So different organisations have different criteria. Some will accept you as a nursing student even if you don't have a Cert 3 once you've done a certain number of placements. So often they'll make that clear. If you're not sure, make direct contact with them to go, well, look, this is what I have to offer. Does that fit what you need? Some organisations might need the Cert 3 for carer roles. Others will accept your nursing placements. So the assistant in nursing jobs, the AIN roles, can come up at different times each year. So as we're saying, it's a really good idea to look at the organisations that might interest you and regularly monitor their jobs pages. If you can, set up those job alerts, and you can have a look at that second year page on Career Hub where we've tracked some of the past campaigns. So again, sometimes the times of recruitment can vary a little bit year to year. Obviously last year with COVID was quite disrupted, but still some of the campaigns rolled out at fairly similar times. So just have a look at that to get a bit of a guideline. And again, you might identify organisations proactively that interest you that you might want to work with. So you could again sign up to see if there's any job alerts you could get. Can you register interest? If you go onto their jobs pages, is there an opportunity to upload a resume or just put through a speculative application? Okay, so some organisations will also give you the chance to do that. Or approaching them directly. I'm writing to explore opportunities to join your hospital as an X, Y, and Z. I'm particularly interested in your organisation because every cover letter you write should show that you have researched that employer uniquely and you know who they are, and you're commenting very specifically on why you would like to work with them. Volunteering, as we were saying, could help you build your experiences, demonstrate passion and commitment. Okay, so if you were focusing on an aged care career, you might want to build up some companionship or health and fitness, walking, volunteer, whatever in the aged care sector. So start to think about what sorts of experiences could complement what I'm doing and help me stand out. Because then the next tier, if you like, the next stage. So we're going on from that assessment of who you are right now, the collection of experiences you have right now, and now we're starting to focus towards May onwards of 2022, where you could be applying for those graduate programs, the TPPs. So what are the settings that interest you? Start to reflect on that. What mobility do you have? There can be different implications of I'm focused on Adelaide. Obviously, there's a lot of competition for the graduate programs. So, you know, you can view the videos from Nursing Careers Week June 21 and get a sense of the sort of number of opportunities that were available across the SA employers. Are you looking to remote, regional, country? Is that in South Australia? Is it interstate? Are you open across public and private settings? Perhaps down the track, do you have particular specialisations in mind? Now, some graduate programs do offer immediate specialisations like perioperative or rehabilitation settings or care of the older person settings. So mental health nursing also. And are you open to exploring that breadth of opportunities, including TPPs, but other ways you can start your nursing career? So even just setting aside a little bit of time each week to work on this, you're starting to really equip yourself and position yourself. Good place to start. As I mentioned, the 2021 Nursing Careers Week, we've got recordings from ACCHA, including Memorial, of course, and also Ashford, with some comment on Flinders Private. We also, of course, had SA Health, Calvary, St Andrews. So there's some really good starting information there. And some further tips for thinking about the transition to professional practice programs. Really thinking about what locations, as I said before, what states, territories, locations are you open to? So then you can start to research the opportunities and programs in those areas. We have pages on Career Hub where we go state by state and list many programs in each state across public and private hospitals. It's never going to be exhaustive because there are many, many programs, as you understand, across the country, but it gives some really good starting points. Showing some of the dates, mostly 2021, for the 2022 programs, just whatever dates we've been able to sort of update and get hold of, giving you that picture of roughly when those programs may open. Again, you can follow those links, sign up to get job alerts. Many of them do offer job alerts about their particular programs, and it alerts you when you might need to start checking those particular pages, their careers pages for that organisation, or monitor Seek. So it just depends on how each organisation will promote or open their particular program. So again, you can start to map this into your 2022 diary. You can check to see, okay, what information have they got about their program? Start to get that, as I said, into your diaries, even now, and do that research, and we help you out. You can see on this slide we've got a link here for past recruitment handbooks, so you get a sense of, right, okay, if I'm applying, you know, for this kind of organisation, I can see that the sorts of documentation I'm going to need to have are blah 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 and blah. So, or I might be responding to this sort of application process. I might have to do selection criteria. I might have to do application form questions. I might have to prepare for a group interview. So you can start to have a look at their FAQs, their particular handbooks, to build up your picture and get yourself really organised for those campaigns next. So we've collected some of those handbooks, uploaded them to Career Hub, so you can go in and have a look at them. This gives you an idea of the sorts of skills they're looking for and how your application might be assessed. So you can have a look at the SA Health presentation, and again, see there's very specific criteria they assess. Private hospitals and other hospitals can have very different sets of criteria that they look at and a different rating process. So often you'll see them talk about particular skills they're looking for: motivated, enthusiastic, commitment to customer service, well presented, obviously good communication skills. Can you show initiative? Can you show you're committed to your professional development? High standards, teamwork, innovative thinkers, striving for excellence. So really, if you can actually start to map out the sorts of employers in the sorts of locations you want to apply for, again, you can really assess what experiences, what achievements will be valued, and make sure you're on track to showcase those. Some more tips to set you up for that job search in 2022. Again, similar to the AIN process. Sign up to get job alerts if that's an option. Start following those organisations for their news. Understand their values. How will you showcase that? Usually there's a transition to professional practice coordinator. So if you've got particular questions, you can ask them. Be aware that, of course, across Australia, there's a lot of graduate programs currently open. So you might choose to go in and explore some of those programs, again, to give you an idea of what you're going to be doing if you're applying for those programs next year. Again, checking the vacancies, checking the job boards. So generally speaking, these programs open from around May. But be aware, some may not advertise on Seek. So some might provide updates on their social media, or again, you check their pages for when those positions become available. And those state-by-state pages on Career Hub will give you links to a lot of those major employers. So also things to keep in mind, it's not just about that TPPP that you apply for in the middle of the year. Many organisations offer graduate level positions when you have your registration and you're ready to apply and transition into work. So again, we know graduates have gone into general practice, gone into aged care, they've gone on to casual pools for some areas. Some agencies like Altera take graduates. So there's a variety of ways you can start careers. Some have gone into corporate health. Obviously, with COVID, I've seen graduates go into a lot of the vaccination clinics and those sorts of areas of work. So there's a variety of ways that you can start your nursing career. But start to monitor the job boards so you can get a sense of what those openings and opportunities are. There are also mid-year entry graduate programs. So if you maybe didn't get a TPPP in your final year, just be aware in the first quarter to first half of the year, opportunities can be open for you to apply for a mid-year start or an August start. Just be aware different organisations can have different criteria in terms of the number of hours you might have worked as a registered nurse or the time since you completed your qualification. So again, we've got lots of information for you. Just remind you, for our live audience, of course, please use the chat box if you have any questions. So we talked a little bit about make sure, you know, you've got a range of plans, knowing there's a variety of ways you can start your career. So on our TPPP and other FAQs page, we've got a few there. I haven't got a TPPP graduate program this year. Can I apply again? Or what are other options? Or I'd like to do some more study. What are some options? So we've collected all of that information for you. We've got a page on other pathways like aged care careers, the general practice, working with agencies, mental health nursing, rural remote locations, and more pathways. So make sure you have a browse through those pages. Now let's talk a little bit about your career development. So we started this session with you and exploring where your career story is up to right now. We've talked about how you'll do the job search for carer work, assistant in nursing work, the TPPPs. Looking at job advertisements is going to highlight for you the skill sets employers want. So what are some career development strategies you can think about? So if you're interested in showcasing the professional learning, pushing your personal and professional development, we've already talked a little bit about the Horizon Professional Development Award. It might be that you see yourself pursuing certain areas of interest. So if you've got that interest in rural health, you might be wanting to request a rural placement, sign up for some of those rural remote health organisations and news. If you're seeing aged care as a pathway, getting some carer work in that sector, maybe volunteering in that sector, following the news in that sector. If you've got that interest around emergency, it might be doing some first aid volunteering. So you start to see how you might focus professional development activities with a view to future areas of interest. So groups, clubs, associations, sector news, volunteering. So what might be some areas that you want to focus on for this year? Okay, all questions to be thinking about, and again, knowing you're thinking about it at a really good time. So you can really map out things that you might want to do and when. So how might you then draw the dots together? Okay, so again, we see that our circle diagram we started with the learning. How have you applied your nursing related studies? What do you bring from other areas of employment? What do you bring from extracurricular? So here's some examples. Supposing we've got the nursing student who's interested in rural and remote health. Maybe they held an office in the Flinders University Rural Health Society, read the Crana Plus Remote Health Professionals Weekly Newsletter, did a placement in the Northern Territory, supports fundraising for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, and loves exploring remote Australian wilderness localities. So there you see, that's an example of someone who might be particularly focused on that career path, and everything they've done across pretty well every segment of their world shows an alignment to that career pathway. It's not to say they won't apply for a city-based job, but they're going to translate those experiences a little bit differently. It's not to say you need to start taking an interest in camping out in remote locations, and if you choose to do that, please make sure you put into place all the usual safety precautions. It's just, what's your profile? What's your unique story? How does that line up to the organisations and settings that interest you? Is it about a passion for aged care? Subscribing to various newsletters about aged care trends? Doing a placement in residential aged care and GEM settings? Working as a personal care worker? Volunteering in an aged care setting? Doing 2 memory walk and jog events to raise funds for Dementia Australia. This is just showing, again, how your choices, your experiences can create an identity and a profile that demonstrates your passion, commitment, engagement, focus. But you might just be prepared to adapt between that specialist focused, but also your broader, more generalist focus for other roles and areas. Depends on who you are, what your unique mixture of skills and experiences is. We got more examples in the slide notes for you, so make sure you have a look at those. So what is the next layer? So this is where you start to join the dots from your unique selection of experiences to what they mean from an employer's perspective. So if we look at your placement feedback, maybe you performed really strongly on the practical side of your nursing journey. So that might show you strongly committed to excellence, committed to high standards. You're really focused on person-centered care. You've got experience in particular settings. You really got great skills around the ADLs. Okay, so it might highlight you're the nurse student with incredibly high level practical skills as shown through your placement feedback. Maybe you also have really good grades. So that might again show a commitment to excellence, motivation, desire to learn, critical thinking. Everyone's going to have different mixes. Your care work or hospitality or other employment could show, again, you're familiar with shifts. You can adapt to different settings. So some of the nursing students who've worked for agencies will go into different hospitals, aged care settings, home care, have to go in quickly, figure out the procedures, make a positive impression on the team, and get down to work. So there's all sorts of different skill sets and benefits you can highlight from your experiences. If you've been a sports coach, shows that you've held positions of trust, demonstrated integrity. You might show that you are great at encouraging team spirit, for example. If you do a Horizon Award, the passion for learning, professional development, your customer service experience could, again, can you make the small talk, make your patients feel comfortable? Have that service delivery mindset. Volunteering might show your commitment to the community, values of service, as well as your time management to juggle your various responsibilities. Professional memberships can show that commitment to the nursing profession, staying current. So think about everything you've done. How does that relate to what employers are looking for, and most particularly the employers you aspire to join? And that then connects to being ready to market yourself. So again, we know some of you are going to be very focused on assistant in nursing opportunities. Some of you might be looking out for other employment opportunities in the sector. So you want to have that current resume. And really important, every time you do something new, a new placement, another, short course, whatever it might be, update the resume, update the LinkedIn. Again, this is going to save you time next year. You want that resume just in a place where all you have to do is update it. You're really satisfied in meeting requirements. It's presenting yourself really professionally. but you don't want to be writing it from scratch when you're doing lots of different TPPP applications. So start making sure that resume is ready to go now, that your LinkedIn profile is current. If you're going to be really focusing on opportunities where there's going to be interviews, start preparing now. Okay. So, you know, if you are going to run a marathon, you don't go out and run a marathon the next day. You start preparing well in advance of that marathon to build up the stamina, to build up the skill set, to build up the capability. The same applies for the career management skills. Whether it's introducing self on placement and being able to do so really effectively because you know your story well, having that current resume ready for any opportunity that comes up, and again, being prepared for the recruitment processes that are likely to be ahead of you. You can start that prep now. And we got all, of course, the resources to assist you. So you've got all the links as seen on the slide. You've got recorded sessions that cover nursing resumes, and these are all very tailored to nursing cover letters, career management. There's a bit on placement report, job search. If you have to do application forms, selection criteria, interviews, some organisations do group interviews like Calvary and St Andrews, and some interstate. Some interstates do video interviews as well. Burnside Hospital advertised a graduate program last year. You had to do a 5-minute video. So again, it's just learning what might lie ahead in terms of where you're focused. So you can see that we've got special packs for you, careers packs. Hopefully you've downloaded those. This is their stuff that we've got online for the second and middle years. So there's a pack that's got your career development tips, resume resources. We've got a sample resume, tips for interviews, tips for writing a great career statement, and a resume template. And we've got even more resources for the final year level as well. Okay, so that just gives you an example of the nursing resume. So you can actually have a look at the sample and just sort of, you know, make sure, am I on track? There's loads and loads of tips on that sample for each area. So that just gives you a little bit of a sense there from that opening career statement, which effectively summarises your career highlights. So again, think about that circle diagram. So are you the penultimate year, you know, the middle years, second year nursing student? What's the passion and focus? What are you applying for? What are you drawing on? Note the use of numbers: 3 years employment in customer service role, a background in community and sports volunteering. What strengths does that highlight? So make it your own, find your own voice, find your own words for that. Notice how professional memberships are highlighted there. Then we go on to the nursing degree and work through all of the different sections of the resume. And if we take a look at this slide, think about your resume. Do you have a current resume? Notice the use of headings and subheadings. So let's focus a bit here. The personal details, how can we contact you? The summary statement, professional memberships if you have them. Note the use of subheadings for education. Tertiary, we want to go in reverse chronological order, the most recent first. Professional development, things that differentiate you here with dates, a formal name of the course, name of the training provider. Secondary education, if it's a more recent memory. If it's longer ago, don't worry about it. Sometimes people include it because if you studied at a rural school and you're applying for a rural placement, you're already showing alignment. Notice nursing sector experience. We're using subheadings to really clearly package what the different experiences are. Placements will always appear first. Again, the most recent first, going in reverse chronological order. You're going to talk about if you have employment, if you have volunteering, but again, make it clear what that is. Other employment, you don't call it other employment, it might be professional employment, prior career experience, casual employment, customer service employment. You've got a lot of choices. Certificates and clearances. So as nursing students, you all do lots of standard things that everybody does. They don't necessarily differentiate you, but they need to know if you've got the various police checks, screenings, and required certifications. So just put that a little bit down the order. If you have active community engagement roles, you can highlight them. They're a paid job. Now, I go into all of this in a lot more detail in the recorded nursing resume session, so you can have a look at that. Your interests and your referees. So just think about, does your resume follow that kind of order? Does it present a really clear focus on you as that nursing student? Particularly honing in on that nursing or health sector, nursing and aged care experience, whatever you choose to call it. And again, this is the sort of subheading structure you may well have. The clinical placements, employment, if you have it, volunteering, if you have it, and then on to the other employment you might bring. Okay, so any questions, just let me know in the chat box. Cover letter. Usually one page. Some organisations don't require them, some specifically do. So you really do need to check your instructions on a case-by-case basis. But where it's the standard one-page cover letter, we've got examples in those career packs. Make it clear, why are you writing? What is it about this role? What can you bring to it? Currently in my second year of my nursing degree, I'm keen to and can offer X, Y, and Z. So very strong, very evidence-based comments. So the middle paragraphs, what do you offer? So you'll be talking about your placements and the relevant skills you've gained. You could cite placement feedback as evidence of that you have the skills and qualities that employer is looking for. Always, why are you interested in working for this employer? Show them you have researched them uniquely. So don't make generic statements about, you know, your highly reputable and dynamic organisation. They'll spot that a mile away. It has to show you have specifically looked at their webpage, their values, and thought about why them. The positive close. So very, very straightforward in terms of a one-page cover letter. Thinking ahead to the graduate programs and your TPPP applications, different organisations, as I said, different requirements. New South Wales typically have selection criteria. You can see examples there where you've got 150 words or so to respond to each one. So, you know, you could then start to think about, well, if they were an organisation I wanted to work for, how might I respond to this in a year or so's time? What evidence would I offer that I bring those skills, that I have the clinical knowledge, that I can solve clinical problems? What's a fabulous example of my teamwork or my understanding of my ethical legal requirements? Okay, or we see that last one, the understanding of their core values, collaboration, openness, respect, and empowerment. You could potentially draw on all areas of that of your life. Think again about that circle diagram to show you align with those values. So there's an example you'll find in the careers packs, 150 words. So that's also flagging as you go through placements over the coming year. Really think about those key learning experiences where you've showcased those sorts of skill sets. So here you can see they've opened with the fact that their verbal and written communication skills have been developed in the past 3 years through both the clinical placements and employment in aged care. They then go into a specific example. So you could also include when you're on placement at this particular hospital, in this particular ward, you're working with a patient with a particular issue and lack of clarity about diagnosis and care plan. So you see how this person then steps through this example, seeing the family were anxious, listening carefully, clarifying everyone's concern, providing reassurance, doing the multidisciplinary approach to bring in the social worker, the documentation, getting advice from the team leader, providing the patient information brochure, then having the team leader give the explanation to the patient, advocating for the patient, making sure everyone's clear about the diagnosis and treatment plan, with everyone's thanking the person and feeling reassured. Okay, so that's adapted actually from Australian Capital Territory Nursing Program guidebook, and we've got the references for that in your slide notes. But it's just giving an example, something to think about again over the coming year. What examples might you choose? And which organisations are using these approaches? So again, we've got some of those sample handbooks for you where you can explore this. Okay, you see here, these are some of the other packs that you can start to have a look at. So depending on what your interests are. So there's the interview pack for final years. We've also got some tips in your middle years pack with a bit more of a focus on interviews for AIN positions. So you'll be able to download that. The early years, it's a bit more of a focus there for the carer roles. So we do try to scaffold the different resources according to your year level. The final year interviews pack is going to take you through tips for the group interviews and lots of sample questions. Okay, and there's a few other resources we put together for you as well. So again, start to think about what skill sets, what career management strategies do I need to put into place, and start to get a bit of a plan for that for the next 12 months. So, you know, this is again just another example of analysing the different learning experiences. Of course, you're doing your reflective journals and things like that. But from a careers perspective and applications perspective, you're going to need to be able to talk about that in very structured ways. So for example, supposing you get a question around a time you demonstrated professionalism and effective time management skills. So perhaps you've been documenting key learning experiences. So in the STAR format, situation, task, action, result, you've got some examples that you can use for applications and interviews. So situations where you're outlining the general context you're in, what facility, what hospital, ward, so where are you, what's going on. So here we've got student nurse on placement at a particular aged care home. What's the task? So what's happening in this situation? So the person's got responsibility to complete the medication round for 25 residents, with the RN present as backup only if needed. We're also noting in this situation, many residents have complex health needs and medications. So someone who wasn't there can understand the scope of this situation. We've got what the actions were. So the person's created their running sheet, checked for the medications that they're not as familiar with, they've checked where everything was stored, accessed the charts, they've got the trolley set up. They talk about how they approach the residents and how they're following the various policies and procedures. So it's really stepping through, showing your professionalism and awareness of the role. What happens? What's the results? What's the end point of the story? The rounds completed on time, the care needs are met, positive feedback from the RN, valuable experience within scope of practice, demonstrating professionalism, initiative and time management. So really start to think about these top times you have shown these skills, the skills you know your employers are looking for. We've also got Big Interview, free software you can use. So it's a general sort of platform there to hone your interview skills. And then you can draw on the sample nursing question pack we've got for you to tailor it to your setting and sector. Okay. Now, LinkedIn. Is anyone on LinkedIn? So keen to know. You can see if you look at the Flinders University page on LinkedIn, there's over 50,000 alumni. There's a lot of nursing students on there. So they're potentially people you could start to make connections with and learn from their particular journeys as well. You can keep your own profile current. There's professional groups you can join on LinkedIn. You can follow employers like SA Health and all the other major employers through LinkedIn. So, you know, there's a lot of value in considering LinkedIn. Yep. So really good comment there on LinkedIn. Not so sure about, well, how you do the networking. So what I'd suggest there is we do run regular sessions on LinkedIn. So you might want to come along to one of those sessions. We've got some sessions on networking skills. So just tap into our workshops. It might just start off simply by making connections with teaching staff, maybe some of the people that you meet on placement, connecting with your nursing peer students, starting to then approach alumni to go, look, I've seen your story, we both studied at Flinders, I'd really love to connect with you. Okay, so just small steps to start building your profile. That's just one example from the St Andrews application form. So it's a you know, got a few stages to the application process, but at that very initial stage, you've got this form with this amount of space to tell St Andrews why they should select you for the TPPP. So this is what I mean by looking ahead into 2022, thinking about where you're going to be looking for work, who are the employers there, who's offering these programs, what sort of application processes might you need to go through for these organisations you really aspire to join. What's going to make you stand out? What profile of experiences do you need to focus on? And then set yourself some goals. So we've got some notes about SMART goals in the slide notes here, but you might decide that, well, by the end of semester break, I'll have set up that careers file where I'm going to document all of my exploration and what I find out. By this date, I want to have researched 6 organisations. By this date, I want to have my current referees finalised. So think about again, what are your goals? Set yourself up with a plan. Really satisfying when you can tick off that you've done those various strategies, that you want to have your resume absolutely finalised, so it just needs updates by this particular date. Okay, just a few ideas. So I'm just bringing it to a little bit of a summary, but there's a few more slides I am going to show you. And I'd also just encourage you to think about any particular questions that you have. So happy to spend some time answering those. So career management, know your story. What are your personal strengths, professional strengths? What are the unique sets of skills, experiences, and qualities that you can offer? What might you want to develop to have ready for the time when you'll be applying for graduate positions? Think about connecting to the sector. It might be joining professional associations, following news, following organisations on their social media. Considering who you want to apply for. Can you sign up for those e-alerts? Can you register your interest? Check in on their jobs page regularly. Read about their values. Make sure you're ready for application processes, that you've got the strong resume, you know the sorts of applications you're going to need to write, and you're keeping really good records for all the relevant documentation you're going to need. One of those TPPP FAQs, we've actually sort of summarised some of the usual sorts of documentation you might need to provide. So you're able to research that, make sure you've got that all organised, and you just need to update it as you go. Okay, so hopefully this is giving you lots and lots of tips. We do have short Ask a Career question sessions, face-to-face and online. You can also ask a question on Career Hub, and we usually get back within 48 hours. So plenty of ways to contact us. And I'm just going to show you a few things here. These are some example job advertisements from last year for this is for assistant in nursing opportunities. So this one was for Calvary. So you can see it was 7 days a week rotating roster, flexible for placement and university commitments. Okay, so they needed to be enrolled as a third year undergraduate nursing student. Now that really varies. Sometimes they're open to first years, middle years. You just got to check case by case basis. And again, you can start to see, right, they want people who've got great customer service skills, competent on computers, can be critical thinkers, multidisciplinary in their approach, and can show you that they're committed to a mission-based organisation. So you might start to think, okay, how will I show that I've got those capabilities? What might help me stand out if I wanted to apply for that organisation? So you can read a bit about them there. And then you can start to see, okay, this is the sort of application process I'm going to need to do. Oh, I see, last year that was around that time. But bear in mind, they can come up at different times. It's not always exactly the same recruitment windows for these sorts of opportunities. So just make sure you are monitoring for those organisations. Women's and children advertise for an assistant in nursing opportunities. Okay, so again, particular tip if you had any experience with caring for, working with children or young people, they really wanted to know about it in the application. This was one that came up this year, actually, for Ramsay Healthcare at the Adelaide Clinic. So obviously mental health focus. And you'll see they needed to have a Cert 3 or in the health services assistance, or Cert 3 in care support, or Cert 3 in aged care, or currently completing relevant undergraduate degree. So again, just flagging the range of employers with which opportunities can arise. So they noted currently completing your second or third year as a nursing student would be highly regarded. And then again, you can see how to apply, a little bit more information. So we collected lots of this information for you on Career Hub. Notice here, personal care assistant. This was with Regis. So currently completing a nursing degree, or you've completed an aged care clinical placement, and have completed a placement. Okay, so just giving you ideas of what to look for. Healthcare Australia, another agency. So again, sometimes they'll put the call out for Bachelor of Nursing students, but you might just go directly onto their website and register interest. So being proactive in the steps you're taking to search the opportunities. Again, you can see the sorts of criteria that they have. Example here for medical assistant opportunities. So this is with Norwood, in the Norwood, but this is Healius Medical Centres. They had different opportunities across Adelaide. And again, are you qualified in health services assistants or a second year Bachelor of Nursing student seeking casual shifts? Okay, so just another avenue through which you might gain some really interesting experiences. And again, you can have a look at that sample job advertisement. I suggest, if you're applying, underline the keywords, make sure your cover letter is tailored to those particular keywords. You might also, again, go directly to that organisation. Can you register for job alerts? Can you upload a resume? Can you write to them and explore employment opportunities with them? And again, show your research, show your interest in that particular pathway. So job search can happen in so many different ways. So make sure, you're covering the range of strategies that you need to. Again, you can see some of the skill sets they're looking for. Can you do the casual shifts? Have you got the verbal communication skills? Can you give us evidence you can prioritise? Are you presented neatly? And a few other sorts of criteria there. Okay, so just some examples. We thought we'd include a few job advertisements for you. So that brings to an end the formal presentation component. So I would just highlight to you, you can access us through Flinders Career Hub. You can ask a question, you can book in for the short consults, but please make sure you've utilised all of those resources firstly. And we do also really encourage you, just set aside that time, work away at this progressively, and make sure you are ready for the opportunities that you are really focused on. So we do wish you all the very, very best in terms of your future studies and career trajectory. And thank you for joining us today.